If Pokémon is the king of monster games and Digimon is its eternal rival, then there's one monster breeding game that was once incredibly popular, but is now almost forgotten. This game features a unique breeding system, monsters with distinct personalities, and even a way to obtain monsters unlike any other game. That game is Monster Rancher. Welcome to Membedah Game, a channel that explores the hidden potential of various games. And this time, we'll discuss how Monster Rancher could actually be one of the best PvP monster games of the modern era. Monster Rancher's prospects as a modern monster breeding game. Monster Rancher is a monster breeding game that was quite popular in its time. It was developed by Japanese developer Tecmo, now known as Koei Tecmo. This developer is also known for various popular game franchises, such as Dynasty Warriors, Fatal Frame, Dead or Alive, and Samurai Warrior. With this track record, Koei Tecmo is certainly no small developer. They have significant potential in the gaming industry and are actually capable of competing with major companies like Nintendo and Bandai Namco Entertainment. Both companies even have very well-known monster franchises, Nintendo's Pokémon and Bandai's Digimon. This is where Monster Rancher truly has a great opportunity to compete again. Monster Rancher, an almost forgotten franchise. Unfortunately, the Monster Rancher franchise is currently practically dormant and rarely heard of. There haven't been many new sequels or major innovations to revive the series' popularity. Even for veteran players, this series offers very unique gameplay. For those of you who haven't tried it, I highly recommend playing the two best installments, Monster Rancher 2 on PS1 and Monster Rancher 4 on PS2. These two installments are often considered the best Monster Rancher games and are still highly playable today. The iconic Disc Stone system. While in Digimon we know the Digivice, and in Pokémon we know the Pokeball, in Monster Rancher we're introduced to Disc Stones. Disc Stones are the medium used to summon monsters. What makes them unique is the way these monsters are obtained. Players can use real CDs or DVDs, such as music CDs or game CDs, to randomly generate monsters. This feature is one of the most unique innovations in gaming history. For players who enjoy collecting CDs or DVDs, this feature is very interesting because each disc can generate a different monster. However, in today's modern era, this method can feel quite outdated, as most media is now in digital or soft copy format. Nevertheless, this concept can still be adapted in modern forms, for example using a digital music database or a file scanning system. Monster Rancher Remake Opportunities. In recent years, many classic games have received remakes and achieved great success. Examples include Final Fantasy VII Remake, Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy, and Resident Evil 1 and 2. The success of these remakes demonstrates that the market for retro games remains huge. Therefore, if Koei Tecmo remakes Monster Rancher 2 with additional features from Monster Rancher 4, it's very possible that the game could become popular again. It's even possible that it could become the best PvP monster game of its time. Gut System, a unique battle mechanic. One of the most interesting mechanics in Monster Rancher is the Gut System. Guts are energy that monsters use to attack. This energy slowly recharges during combat. Each skill requires a different amount of guts. The higher the guts cost, the greater the damage dealt. Furthermore, guts also serve as a defense indicator. If a monster has high guts, the damage it takes will be reduced. Conversely, if guts runs out, the monster will take greater damage. This system is somewhat reminiscent of active time battle in the Final Fantasy series. If you're playing Unison League, you must be familiar with this system. Monster Loyalty. Monster Rancher also has a monster loyalty system. If a monster has low loyalty, it may not follow commands during battle. This leaves the monster confused and more vulnerable to attacks. This system requires players to truly build relationships with their monsters. Complex Training System. As a monster breeding game, Monster Rancher has a fairly complex training system. Each monster has a lifespan. A monster's lifespan is affected by how the player treats them. If a monster is trained too often or becomes too stressed, its lifespan can decrease. Unlike many modern monster games, Monster Rancher doesn't provide a clear indicator of a monster's lifespan decreasing. This requires players to be more careful when training their monsters. In addition, monsters also have various other indicators such as style, stamina, size, nature, likes, and dislikes. Each monster can even have different traits, even if they are from the same species. Monster Status and Training System. Monsters in Monster Rancher have 6 main stats: life, power, intelligence, accuracy, speed, and defense. These stats determine their strength in battle. In Monster Rancher 2, training facilities were available from the start. However, in Monster Rancher 4, players can create their own training equipment to increase training effectiveness. If Koei Tecmo plans to make a sequel, this feature is a must. This is intended to allow players to create their own unique monsters and make the game more exciting. The gadget system in Monster Rancher 4 is also a must. However, it would be better if the system tracked player progress and was not pay to win. Also, include scheduling and stamina indicators in Monster Rancher 4 to make it easier for players. If you want to monetize this feature, it would be a good idea to differentiate between free and paid players based on the number of schedules they can use. This is especially true if KOEI Tecmo plans to make the next Monster Rancher sequel an online game. Monster DNA concept after death. Because monsters have a lifespan, they will eventually die. However, this system can be improved with a new concept. When monsters die, they produce DNA that can be combined with the DNA of other monsters. The result is a new monster with higher initial stats. This concept is similar to the freezing and combining monster systems in the classic Monster Rancher series. Players can also use monster DNA for PvP events, so the monsters they have trained are not completely lost. League and PvP system. The Monster Rancher game also has great potential in its PvP system. Like other leagues in the Monster Rancher series, which are divided into two types, official and unofficial, there is a lot of hope for a similar league with some adjustments. Official leagues provided by the developer, and featuring AI monsters as opponents. These leagues are intended for unofficial leagues created by players to battle other players. This is similar to the PvP feature available in Monster Rancher 2 and can foster an active PvP community. These leagues can have special rules such as monster rank limits, total stats limits, and monster type limits. Stat limits reduce the chance of player smurfing. For league schedules, it's a good idea to align them with real-world time to create a more realistic feel. Suggested currency system. For modern online games, a currency system is also very important. Games can have two types of currency. Free currency earned through gameplay is used for monster needs, similar to typical Monster Rancher games. Paid currency opens special leagues and changes nicknames and cosmetics. The important thing is not to make this a pay-to-win system. Community workshop. The workshop feature could also be an interesting solution. Through the workshop, players can create monster skins, cosmetic items, other game assets, or even new monster variants. Developers can sell these creations and share the profits with players. This system is similar to the workshop in Dota 2. This is a win-win solution for both developers and the community. Conclusion. Monster Rancher has a very strong and unique gameplay concept. With its complex breeding, training, and PvP systems, this franchise actually has great potential for a resurgence. If Koei Tecmo dares to create a remake or a new sequel with a modern concept, it's not impossible that Monster Rancher could once again compete with major monster franchises like Pokémon and Digimon. The potential is already right in front of us. Now it remains to be seen whether Koei Tecmo is ready to revive this legend. If you'd like to see more videos about game analysis and game development ideas, don't forget to subscribe to This channel.